everyone. This video is going to be a pregnancy baby number 2 Q&A, and Brandon's not here, he's at work, so he's not going to be in this video, but I was thinking of doing another one just focused on his answers and getting some questions like for him, the hubby's perspective kind of. So definitely let me know if you are interested in that. And I'm definitely going to have to do a part 2 of this because there are so many questions. We've been getting so many questions basically since we found out. So I'm going to be answering probably like half of them in this video and then another half in another video. But let's just get started because there really are a ton. But most of them are like the same questions repeated. So I'm just going to be answering like those ones. One question that we get asked so much already is, are we going to find out the gender, everything about gender? So are we going to find out? Definitely. I mean, if you all know me, you know that I am probably the most impatient person in the entire world. Of course we're gonna find out. I don't think that I could do that. I would go crazy. At one point I would probably break, and it would probably be as soon as I could find out. So no, we are not going to wait to find out the gender, and we actually might find out early at like 10-ish weeks. Last time we waited for the 20-week ultrasound. There is a blood test that the doctor can do, and there's also one that you can order online that they can do at around 9 to 10 weeks. I'm not sure if, I don't think that the one through the doctors is covered, and we asked about it last time, and because I wasn't over 35, I think it wasn't covered. So I think going to be getting a new doctor this time, so maybe we'll ask her. We have our ultrasound in a few weeks, so I'm definitely going to ask and see, you know, what's the deal with that. But I don't know, we might be finding out early, so I'm really excited about that. And another question that we get asked about like gender and everything is if we like have a feeling of what the baby is gonna be. It's gonna be a boy or a girl, and I don't know if we're gonna share that because I do have a feeling, but last time I was so completely wrong. If you all have been here since then, you know that I was convinced. And actually most people in my family, my friends, were completely convinced that it was a boy. And obviously Addie is not a boy. So it was just kind of like a shock. So I don't know if I want to share it because I was so sure and I was so wrong. Usually they say that moms know, but I had no idea. And all of my signs, every single sign, I wasn't nauseous, like everything like that pointed towards boy. So I'm not sure if we're gonna share. Might later. I haven't decided yet because I don't want to get, one thing that I'm not going to do this time is I'm not going to convince myself that it's, you know, a boy or a girl, because, you know, I don't want to be wrong. I was so convinced, I was so connected, I feel like, to the baby as a boy, and when it was a girl, it's not like I was disappointed or mad or angry or sad that it was a girl. It was just like I had to connect with the baby again because in my head it was a boy. So yeah, definitely not gonna do that this time, but I'm not sure if we're gonna share yet. Another question around gender is, do we want a boy or a girl? And honestly, I know that everyone says this and you're like, oh, come on, you care, but we don't care because there are reasons why I would want for it to be a girl, and there are reasons why I would want for it to be a boy. I would want it to be a girl because, you know, Addie's a girl. We already know how to, you know, kind of deal with a girl. We've never obviously had a boy, so it's kind of familiar to us. We wouldn't, I mean, of course every baby is different, but I feel like it would be a little bit easier, and I feel like they'd be really close. It'd be really cool to have 2 sisters close together. And then we would want it to be a boy, obviously, because we don't have a boy, and it would be a new experience. It would be a new fun experience, and then we'd have one of each. But I don't know. There are reasons why I want both, so honestly both I'm going to be completely happy with. And we are going to be having, you know, more kids, so it's not like if we don't have a boy that we're never going to have a boy. So I mean, if this was my last baby, yes, I would want it to be a boy because I do want to experience raising a boy, but since it's not, I don't really care. And we have been getting a ton of questions about trying to conceive and what I did differently this month. And I'm going to be making a video really soon on my channel about what I did differently this month. Last time, obviously, it was for Mara that I did differently. I couldn't really say anything that really helped me get pregnant besides that. But this time, I do have some stuff that I think definitely helped. So that will be coming soon. Another question that we have been getting asked is, what was your first thought when you found out? And I mean, I'm not gonna cuss, But I was so shocked and surprised because, you know, we had that negative blood test, and I just was like, I was honestly taking it just because I'm impatient for my period, and I was just like, I'm gonna have my period in a few days. How it always happens for me is I take a pregnancy test, it's negative, and then I get my period like an hour later. And I seriously thought that that's how it was gonna be. It was gonna be negative, and then I was gonna get my period. And so I was definitely not expecting it to be positive. So the first thought that I thought was, you know, obviously shock. And I thought, holy, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but that's what I thought. And another one of my first thoughts was, I told you so, because a ton of people thought that I was crazy. And you know, when I posted that I feel pregnant, and when I was telling Brandon and like my family that I feel pregnant, they all thought that I was crazy. So my second thought was definitely, I told you so. I told everyone, and I knew it. Which is really weird for me because last time when we found out that we were pregnant with Addie, I was convinced that I wasn't pregnant. Honestly, if you look back at those, they were going to kind of up our treatment if I hadn't ovulated. And when I found out at cycle day 21 that I had ovulated, I told Brandon, I was like, I wish that I didn't, because then we could go to, you know, the treatment that would probably work. I don't feel like this worked at all. I don't feel like I'm pregnant. And then we were pregnant. So obviously I'm glad that I ovulated, but it's just weird that this time I completely knew and last time I had no idea. We've also been getting asked if we are going to be going with the names, like if it's a girl, are we going to be naming her McKinley, or our other choice was Dixie, and if it's a boy, are we going to be naming it the boy name that we've said? And we're not sure. I really love the name McKinley. Brandon's not the biggest fan of Dixie, so I'm not sure if we will ever go with that. But we do love McKinley, but we are definitely going to, no matter what gender it is, we're going to research and look at a ton more. We're really going to make sure. And another question that we've been getting asked is, are we going to reveal the baby's name before it's born like we did with Addie, even though we end up changing it, or are we going to wait to make sure that, you know, the baby is that name? And I've kind of gone back and forth on this since we did end up changing her name after she was born, and I've decided we are definitely going to reveal the name when I'm pregnant, because that really helped me. Even if it wasn't the name in the end of it, just calling it the baby really didn't help me connect with her, if that makes sense. It felt so much better to call her McKinley, even if it didn't end up being her name. So I think that we're definitely going to reveal it so that we don't have to, you know, keep it quiet or anything like that. Obviously, it can change, and we will make that very clear, but I don't want to just call it the baby until it's born. I want it to have a name and I don't know. That's just how I feel. I feel a little bit more connected to it if it has a name. And so yeah, we are definitely going to be revealing, and then if we obviously choose another name after it's born, we'll let you all know. Another question that we've been getting is, how has this pregnancy like compared to my last one so far? Obviously I'm not really far along. How far along am I? Another question that we get a lot is, when is my due date? And I don't really want to say my due date because it's not set in stone until well, it's not really ever set in stone, but we don't really know until we get the ultrasound. But usually they just go off of last menstrual period, and so based off of that, I am due on February 5th of 2018, obviously. But obviously Addie was born 6 days early. She was born a little bit early, so based on that, the baby will be born in January to February. And so yeah, February 5th is the day, which means that I am right now today 5 weeks and 4 days pregnant. And so anyways, what compares to the last pregnancy? Well, like I said, I knew this time. I just knew it, and last time I had no idea. And the number one symptom that I noticed in both pregnancies really early is exhaustion. Tiredness, that's what I'm gonna say. I've been really tired, and that is something that was pretty early on with the last pregnancy. One thing that I've noticed though is that all of my symptoms have been heightened in this pregnancy. They say that you like start feeling things, start looking bigger earlier in your, you know, consecutive pregnancies, and I definitely agree. I feel like I'm more exhausted, obviously. I mean, I have a baby who still doesn't sleep through the night, but I definitely feel more exhausted, and hunger is something that I noticed at the beginning of my pregnancy, and then towards the middle, I actually completely lost my appetite, and it was hard for me to eat because I just felt like I had no room in my stomach. So I'm definitely in that part. I've been feeling really hungry, and I've been feeling a ton of cravings, which I feel like I didn't feel until later on in my pregnancy, and they were really weird. Really weird. I'm going to be doing an entire bump date soon for my channel within the next few days, hopefully, but they're weird. But I will let you know, it's mostly spicy food. I drank some sweet chili sauce the other day. Not that much because it has a ton of sugar in it, but yes. And another question that we've been getting is if I'm going to, you know, how my diet is going to be, and if I'm going to keep my dairy-free diet. And I have cheated a few times. It's really hard, even though I'm only 5 weeks and 4 days. It's just kind of hard to keep up the motivation, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just kind of hard. And I've been kind of wanting some cheese, which I don't even like cheese, but I've been wanting some cheese. But I have cheated a few times, like once or twice, and I don't regret it. It felt really good, and I'm not going to say that I'm not going to have any dairy this entire pregnancy. I'm going to let myself cheat if I really, really want something. I'm going to try to definitely limit it, maybe like once or twice a month. I'll have a cheat day where I can have, you know, a little bit of what I've been really wanting, besides the sweet chili sauce, is in our local mall. I don't know if they have these otherwise, but they have Bob's Pizza, and they have the best, most greasy, cheesy, fatty, disgusting, but delicious cheese bread. And so I've really been wanting that, but I haven't. I've stayed strong because those are really, really nasty, but good. So, I mean, I'm sure that I will give in sometimes, but for the most part, I started finding really good recipes and really good like substitutes that taste almost exactly the same. Now, the dairy-free cheese is definitely not as good as the real thing. So I'm definitely going to be staying closer to my diet, really limiting my sugar and completely dairy except for the few cheats. And I'm really going to be going completely natural, hopefully this pregnancy. I don't want to take as much as possible as I possibly can. I don't want to take any medications, like even Tylenol, Benadryl, which is why my allergies have really been bothering me. I got some local honey, which is apparently supposed to up your immunity to the allergies in your area, so I've been taking a teaspoon of that a day. I'm just really going to try to find natural ways to treat whatever's going on. Another one of my goals is I have cut out soda for about a year now, but every like month or so I'll have like some of Brandon's soda or something like that. And I actually don't really like soda, but sometimes I really, really want it. And my goal for this pregnancy is not to have any soda, which I'm really excited about. I'd rather have, you know, tea, stuff that's good for you, but I really want to stay clear of any caffeine. Yeah, those are a few goals that I'm setting for myself. Of course, I'm going to be open-minded, and if I really, really need something, then I will make an exception, but that's my goal. Another question that we've been getting asked is about like labor and what I'm going to be doing differently, and am I going to try for natural again? And definitely, I am so excited. One of the things that I am most excited for is labor and delivery, because even though it was so painful and it was really overwhelming as a first-time mom, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was having contractions so often, and there's so much that I would change about that experience, but not like that. Like, so much that I will do differently this time that I think will really help me to go natural. So I'm definitely going to try it. I really think that I can do it. I went 20 to 24 hours completely natural last time, and then I only had like a few hours where I had the epidural. So it really, in my opinion, I mean, I obviously didn't experience it, and I didn't experience like pushing her out without an epidural, but I definitely think that I could have done it, and I wish that I could I mean, I'm not gonna say that I regret anything, but this time I'm definitely going to go for that. And there are just a few things that I am going to change. Definitely having more of an open mind. I feel like I said that I did last time, but I definitely had like this picture in my mind of how it was gonna go, and it really didn't. So I'm going to have more of an open mind, more of just a what's gonna work in each situation. And I'm going to try to have a doula, and I don't know if insurances cover it, but I would really love to have a doula because I didn't have a ton of help. And Brandon and I are definitely going to communicate more. We're going to work more on how he can coach me, because he kind of, it was really overwhelming for both of us, and he kind of forgot until like the last second to try to remind me to breathe and, you know, focus and everything like that. So we're definitely going to be doing that, and I'm going to be, I should just do an entire video. There's so much that I would do differently. I'm definitely going to stand up for myself more, because there are so many things in my birth plan, like skin to skin. Are you kidding me? I can't have skin to skin, or delayed clamping. That is completely unacceptable, and hospitals don't even have policies against those things. Most have it towards those things, so I don't know. And some of you have been asking if we're going to travel again to Billings, to, you know, a few hours away to the hospital, and we haven't decided yet. We are definitely 100% not going to the hospital in Bozeman, because I hate the labor and delivery rooms. And then after that, they're pretty good size rooms, I guess, but it's just, it's not that updated, and it doesn't have windows, which is the #1 thing for me. With my anxiety, I need to be able to see outside. I would feel like I was in a jail giving birth, especially if it lasts as long as it did last time, you know, 24 hours. I don't want to be in a room without windows. That's just crazy to me. So definitely not there, but we haven't decided. There's one a little bit closer, like 30 minutes away, and then the one in Billings. But if we do go to the one in Billings, whichever one we go to, we're going to be really, we only went to one tour at each hospital. We're definitely going to be sitting down with them, talking to them about what we want, and if they can accommodate that, especially with the filming that was also in our birth plan that we were told was completely fine. You know, obviously they didn't let that, and they kind of made a big deal about it, even though it was not on their policy or anything like that, or they told us that. We called twice. But I definitely want to have more information. So we aren't sure, but not the one closest to us. That was a really long answer. I'm sorry. This is what I mean when this is probably going to be 2 videos, because I'm not even, I've answered like 5 questions. And my memory card's running out. Okay, I'm sorry if the lighting is different and everything, but I had to change the memory card because I've been talking so much. So another question that we've been getting asked is not just like what I would do different in labor, but what I would do different in pregnancy. And this kind of goes for labor too. I know that I said, you know, I'm not rushing. Everyone tells you with your first, don't rush it, just enjoy it. And I feel like I thought that I was, but I really wasn't, because when you find out that you're pregnant, you want, you know, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to see the baby in the ultrasound, and then you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to know what they are, and then I want to, you know, I want to know if it's boy or girl, and then I can't wait to see my baby. You just kind of rush through it, and I thought that I was enjoying it, and I was complaining. And obviously you complain, especially in like pregnancy updates and on these videos. Everyone asks, what are your symptoms? Which symptoms usually mean something that you're dealing with. It's not necessarily bad, but something that you're dealing with. So it kind of seems like complaining, but I definitely was like, I can't wait to have this baby. And I wish that I would have enjoyed it, because I honestly loved being pregnant. It was such an amazing experience, and if I could always be pregnant, I would. I mean, obviously I want to have a ton of kids, but I don't want to have like 50. So, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is I really love being pregnant, and I just want to enjoy every minute of this pregnancy. I don't want to rush on to the next step. I don't want to, oh, I can't wait until I start showing. I want to enjoy every like step and every phase of this pregnancy, and really, really enjoy it and soak up all of the time. Same with when the baby is born. I've done a really good job of really enjoying Addie every step of the way, but this pregnancy, getting pregnant, has just made me think of how crazy it is. Like a year ago, we just found out that she was a girl, and now she's almost 8 months old, and it's just so crazy to me. So it's really making me rethink her and really appreciate and not want to rush anything with her and enjoy every moment with her. So that's something that I'm definitely going to do differently this pregnancy. Is I'm just going to, as much as I can, because with your second pregnancy it's just so much more rushed, I feel like, already. So yes, and with labor too, I'm going to try to enjoy it more, which I really did love labor. It was amazing. Another question that we've been getting asked a ton is if we're going to move, you know, room situations, everything like that. And we live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath now, which is, you know, pretty big. We technically do have enough rooms for 2 kids to, you know, have their own separate rooms. But this room is kind of like my filming room and our guest room. So we aren't exactly sure. We cannot sell we only bought this house a 1.5 years ago, and where we live, you have to wait 2 years to sell your house and move out, or else you get fined with a bunch of fines and penalties and stuff like that. So that is up in October, and we're definitely going to look into, you know, what can we get. It's really expensive to buy where we live, and honestly it's gone up a ton since we bought our house. It's gone up like $50,000 to $100,000 from when we bought our house, and we can't afford, you know, something crazy. We live in somewhere they call it Glitter Gulch, because even like the milk is more expensive here. So we aren't really sure if we're going to be able to find a bigger house. We might be able to, because like we said, it's gone up so much, so our house has gone up in value. So we might be able to sell it and get something a little bit bigger, or something that fits our needs a little bit more. We aren't sure. We're definitely going to look into that in October. But if we can't, then this will completely be fine. Addie isn't even in her own, she doesn't even use her nursery, and she's almost 8 months old. So we are planning to do that. And now as far as setting up a nursery for the new baby, we're probably not even going to be doing that. I mean, I can't say for sure. Maybe we will make this guest room a nursery. Probably not. We're probably just going to leave this and not really decorate too much of a space for them yet, because they're not going to be in it, and it's kind of a waste, especially if we are going to end up moving. I'm probably not going to. But as far as are we going to put Addie in her own room and everything like that, right now she does co-sleep sometimes. She's mostly just in her crib in our room, which really makes me feel better. It's easier. We have also been getting questions, are you going to sleep train her before the new baby comes? Are you going to sleep train her anytime soon? But we are definitely not going to do anything in form of sleep training until she's a year old and she doesn't need formula anymore, because as you all know, she really has problems drinking formula, and she gets up a ton at night to drink formula. She gets up every 2 to 3 hours and she drinks a big bottle, and that's pretty much all that she has formula wise. So I don't want to sleep train her and have her lose that formula, because she needs it until she's a year old. So we aren't going to be doing any sort of sleep training. She can get up, you know, as many times as she wants to drink, you know, formula at night right now. That's what we're doing. And then once she's a year old and she doesn't need formula anymore, we might reevaluate. I don't think that I can do cry it out. You know, it's not for everyone. I know that a ton of people swear by it, but I don't think that I could do it. So we might do a modified kind of version of sleep training, and the babies will be about 14 to 15 months apart. So that'll give us, you know, a few months to figure out what we want to do. But we're gonna have to do some form of sleep training. She can't get up, you know, 5 times a night when the baby comes, or 4 times a night. So that would be way too much for me. So we are going to be doing something. Are we going to be moving her out of our room? I know a ton of families still co-sleep with 2 babies and still, you know, room share. I don't know at this point if we are going to have her in a separate room, so I'm not sure. And so yeah, nursery probably not, and we're probably not even gonna get a crib for this baby until we know that they're going to use it, until we actually need one, because we didn't start using one until Addie was like 5 months, 6 months old. So yeah. But anyways, I have blabbed on way too much, and so I'm going to cut this video off here. There are a ton more questions, but I'm going to be answering those hopefully in like the next week, and I will get Brandon in here with me. Sorry if this video was kind of all over the place. I am really hungry, so I'm gonna go eat. But anyways, we'll see you in our next video. Bye guys.